right, so this is a quick video on how to set up Lynx, and you're like, what is Lynx? Lynx is what lets you do the wicked fast searching that uses like a question mark or just whatever. So question mark, what is Lynx? And I can just hit enter, and I go down here and I say, what is Lynx? And I get my zero-click info from Wikipedia, and I get an answer in like 2 seconds. People would still be searching for this on the graphics browser if they were using it. And so, yeah, this is what Lynx is. Now, there's many text-based browsers, and I'm not going to talk about them. I'm just going to say that I believe Lynx is still the best for lots of reasons, but primarily because Lynx allows you to really scan quickly. The other browsers try to do a fair amount of like maintenance of like a table and stuff like that. And Lynx is just super fast and uses the maximum amount of real estate. So it makes you the fastest, and that's really why I like it. In fact, as I'm doing it right now, I'm doing it all with right hand. I'm browsing with my entire right hand using the VI bindings. I also use Lynx instead of things like IntelliSense or built-in help because it's so much faster. It's just so much faster, but it does take a little bit to set up and get used to. So the first thing you need to do is install Lynx, however you want to do that. It's their app to install Lynx. And if you're on Arch, you do your Arch Pac-Man yay thing or whatever. But you need Lynx, and Lynx lives in user bin Lynx, but the problem is that Lynx was originally designed some time ago, and it was designed to be for use on a system and not to be configured individually for all the users on the system. It was meant to be sort of a tool that the system administrator would grant you different levels of access to using Lynx, but it was a way for you to browse on the system. And for that reason, it's a little bit harder to configure than it might make sense. So there's 2 configuration files that you need to do Lynx. And this here is my config on GitHub. It may or may not move to GitLab at some point. If it does, I'll put a redirect in here so you can go find that. But as you can see, I've got all of my config files here, but there's 2 that stand out. Lynx.cfg and lynx.lss. Okay, so these files are files that are taken from the default. When it installs, it puts it in some location. I don't remember, someplace in Etsy, I believe. And so all I've done is I've taken out those files and I've made modifications to them, and I've left all of the comments and everything in here so that you can understand what they're doing. You might want to customize yours also. Here I have, for example, a start file on line 111 that sets to go to my website. So you can just go through this and find the things that you might want to change. But there's a few key things that I really recommend you keep. You might be an Emacs person, but if you're not, if you're a VI person, then you want to go look for VI mode. If I can find it here. I don't know how plus I'm not using Lynx here. VI mode. Wait, is it mode? Oh, there it is. VI keys always on. Emacs keys always on. So by turning these on, I can then navigate using VI. Okay, so the file we're looking at now is lynx.cfg. This file is configuring how Lynx works and how you navigate it and all of that stuff. But and you can grab mine and put it down on your own system. It's a pretty big file, and frankly, I don't remember every single thing that I've changed. Oh, this is interesting. Positionable editor. I don't remember that. And I still have yet to configure all of my types. You can make Lynx so that when it opens a picture or something like that, you can actually view the picture with your local operating system. So you might want to play around with that. I don't generally do that. In fact, if I am dependent, let me go back. If I am dependent on a visual graphics representation, for example, of a thing, so we'll do the search for Lynx again. And let's say I wanted to go look at the Wikipedia page. I can right click and go to Wikipedia, and almost always there will be a refresh. But even if there isn't, I can type the letter I, and that will show me that here's my URLs. Okay, so I can click on those URLs using my mouse, and it will open my web browser, my graphic web browser, and so I can see what I need to see. So I use Lynx even to search for stuff that I know is ultimately going to be graphic, because it's so much faster. And if you haven't noticed, I'm searching on DuckDuckGo, and the reason is because of this. 2 question marks in my setup sets me up to run on Google, but Google fails to do anything significant, and it does find links, but look at how ugly it is. I mean, it's like disgusting. Google is a fail. On so many levels, Google is a fail. And so, why would I even want to give away my information? They can't track me because there's no way to track with Lynx. But if I were, but I'm so pleased with DuckDuckGo. And I go to DuckDuckGo Lite, which is a version that lets you, see things much easier. You can even go into YouTube videos and pull those up, and they will open in your graphic browser. So there's lots of reasons to use Lynx. But let's continue with how to configure it. So the other file that's involved, of course, so the first file is lynx.cfg. I'll talk to you about how to get these files to be recognized. But the first file to configure is lynx.cfg. And if you really want to, you can go through every single thing and find all of your configurations in here. This is not JSON. This came at a time, it came at a time well before that. The interesting thing about Lynx is that it is being updated. For a while there, people thought, there wasn't going to be HTTPS support, TLS or SSL, and there is. So you don't need to fear any of that stuff. It can deal with certificates just fine. In fact, my configuration automatically accepts certificates and turns off a lot of the annoying prompts so that I can search at the maximum level. But so that's this file, the lynx.cfg file. So I know I needed to talk about another file. We really can't go through the whole file, but you're welcome to read it and post a question to me if you have a question. So the other key file when you're dealing with Lynx is the one that deals with colors and styles, and this file is called lynx.lss. So here you've got all of the styles and the different color combinations, and you can go play around with these as you wish. I do not like the colors that came with it. There's a bunch of colors that were just really, really harsh. Some colors didn't work with solarized back when I was using that a lot, and so I feel like I've got a color scheme that works well with me. This is just standard Xterm colors, which I've started to use for streaming because of the contrast. They are more visible in the light from phones and iPads and such when people are looking at my stream. But even if you have Molokai or solarized or something, this color scheme should work for you. So that's really all you need to know about that file. This is where you would go to change that. So the next question is, how do I get these 2 files on my system, and how do I get them to be recognized? So to answer that question, we have to go and start looking into other files. So after you install Lynx, you'll be able to run it, no problem. But I'm going to show you a file that I use that sets up the Lynx aliases, so that it's actually a command function that I have in Bash. This won't work with Z Shell. Z Shell, this is one of the many reasons that Z Shell sucks, is that it doesn't do command functions at all. So here we go. This is my sort of modular Lynx configuration. These files are all combined together to create one large bash RC for me, but I leave them individually kind of broken out so that I can test them and I can share them with y'all. So if you want to just test or take one, you can do that. So what I've done here is I have exported a Lynx function that takes the old Lynx and finds the links wherever the path might be, and then it replaces it with a command function. A command function functions in every way as if it were a binary that was installed in a bin directory somewhere. And because this loads at login in my bash RC, it's available just like any command anytime without any startup cost, because all the code has already been compiled and loaded into memory. That's the fundamental value proposition of command functions over any binary, including compiled C code. They will always be faster, and they are impossible with Z shell. So Lynx here, we have this. We're doing Lynx here. We do if -z. Lynx says if I cannot find a Lynx variable. I mean if I cannot find Lynx at all, that means I didn't find Lynx on the system. Then just tell them. Tell n is just a little function I have that prints out some nice colors. It actually does markdown, and it colorizes the output and says doesn't look like Lynx is installed. And then it just returns 1 because there's no Lynx on the system. This line here, this is what's called a short circuit logical operator. It says if I see that there is a home directory containing .lynx.cfg, then go ahead and let's set a variable called lynxcfg to be the following: -cfg equals home lynx.config. And we'll get back to these command line arguments later, but we're going to put together an actual argument pretty soon. Here we do -r, does the file that's readable, is there a readable lynx.lss in the same directory? If so, let's also set that. And then the final thing we do is we actually call it. So my underscore Lynx variable, environment variable, contains the full path to the true Lynx program. And so when we run it that way, this is the same thing as if I had run the full path to the binary. And that then it tacks on to the command line the full path using the -cfg argument to Lynx, which says use this configuration file instead of the one from the system. And unfortunately, Lynx will not identify or look into your home directory without you doing that because of the reasons I earlier described. So now we have $lynx.lss, and we can put that in there, and that says, okay, let's go get that. So now our command line, and then finally we pass any commands, any arguments that we may have passed. And I guess I can maybe drop the quotes there, but I think they're fine. So this allows us to pass a URL to the program. So for example, if I wanted to call Lynx without the search parameter, which I'll get to, I would call Lynx, and then I would say I want to go to skillstack.io. And boom, there's my SkillStack site. So by default, any scheme that it is HTTP is assumed, but most sites will redirect you to HTTPS if needed. So this is my site. This is again, this is another good example of why you should use things like unordered lists for your menu items. Let me just give you a quick view if you want to develop for Lynx optimized, like I say. You should probably consider what your page looks like when it's not being rendered on a graphics web browser. And so making intelligent choices about how you semantically organize your page can really change how easy it is to view from Lynx or from other text-based readers. So here are my things, and you can see if you inspect element on these are all unordered lists items. And so when I made my site, I was conscious to constantly test and see what it might look like to somebody using Lynx. And I even have a little joke here at the bottom that says optimized for Lynx and true terminal experts or masters. There's really no reason not to allow Lynx as a method, and the entire documentation on my site is all Lynx friendly and is very, very fast to browse. So for this reason, that's the reason that I did it that way. I think if we put HTTPS, I think it still works. Let's try that. Yep. Okay. So that gives you your argument at the end. So we've talked about Lynx, we've talked about the Lynx configuration file, we've talked about the Lynx color file, and we've talked about one of the ways to write a command function to actually create a dynamic command, a full-blown command that defines where you should call it. You could almost get away with just doing an alias for that same thing if you have the file and it's going to be there every time. Unfortunately, if you do an alias, you won't be able to call Lynx from other programs. So if you for some reason wanted to write a script and you wanted to have it ask a few questions and then fire up Lynx, you could not do that because aliases they don't persist into sub-processes or sub-shells. Commands exported command functions do. And that is why I use export-f, which once again is not possible on Z shell. So if you have a command function like this, this is a way that even from VI, I can jump right from VI into Lynx if I needed to. So we've talked about what Lynx is, how to search, the value of it. We've talked about how to set up your configuration file, and it goes in the home directory, by the way, which I suggest you make a symbolic link from your config directory. And if you don't know what a symbolic link is, you can let me know. Otherwise, you can just put the files there. But if you don't do that, you'll lose your files. Okay, so we have a symbolic link to those files. And then we have this command function to call Lynx, the actual Lynx. And beyond that, we need to, that goes in your bash RC. And beyond that, we need some aliases to do some searching. So what the aliases that I have set up here, they're all contained in this file as well. But the aliases for question mark, here it is right here. The alias question mark runs duck. And duck is I should probably export it. I didn't. I forgot to do that. I should probably fix that. But duck is a command function that calls DuckDuckGo. So it calls Lynx, and Lynx therefore calls this command function up here, and it passes the DuckDuckGo URL, and this URL is manufactured here by calling URL encode, which is some pretty nifty code that, this needs to be exported. I need to go back and fix this. So URL encode is a command function that takes this string and URL encodes it by going through each character and making it valid for use in a URL as what's called a query string. That's where the Q equals comes from. And a query string is anything with after the question mark, and you've seen these a lot probably. So in the Google one, it does the same thing. It URL encodes it and passes it to Google's search option. I do not know of a light variation of Google as opposed to the light one that we have here. Okay, so there we have it. We have got our functions. We've got our ability to now query, and I went ahead and aliased question mark and two double question marks so that it passes my sentences on to Lynx and to Duck to do those things. It's not an obvious setup. It takes a little bit of doing to get it to work, but this is how you do it. If you have any questions about how to do it further, or if you get stuck, I'm always here. You can go to RWX Live or rwxrob.live if you ever have a question. rwxrob.live will take you to YouTube, which has or wherever, and it also has links to my Twitch here, so you can come into Twitch and ask me directly anytime that I'm on. It's been great talking to you. We do have a question. We have a couple of people that say good old Lynx here. So if you have any further questions on how to set that up, I'm happy to help you. I'm regularly talking about terminal issues and terminal mastery on stream, and I continue to publish more about that. And I'm going to call the video there. Thanks very much for watching.